Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast. Are you ready to live an inspired and empowered life? We are live Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern on Talk4 TV, W4WN.com, and my YouTube channel. And today we will be talking about emotional intelligence, Emotional Intelligence 101, Part 2. And emotional intelligence is an essential key. And I see we have Allie in the house. Good morning, Allie. Emotional intelligence is an essential key to create an inspired and empowered life. You can also learn 3 principles of emotional intelligence, how having emotional intelligence changes your life, and discover the number 1 mistake that would keep you from a life you love. Together, let's create a life you love. I'm your host, Nanci Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive breakthrough expert. And I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to transform your life. This show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling. It is for educational purposes only. So, last week, we started with emotional intelligence, and I'm going to retalk, and share what exactly emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence is the ability to process your feelings in a healthy way rather than reacting in a dysfunctional or destructive ways. And I was talking about the 5 components of emotional intelligence. And these 5 components came from the blog from thinkpsych.com, The 5 Components of Emotional Intelligence by Aria Palmer from April 2021. Now, last week, we talked about self-awareness. And self-awareness is the understanding of one's emotions, thoughts, and intentions. One is self-aware when they can pinpoint what they are feeling and why. And then we started talking about self-regulation. And what self-regulation is the ability to manage your behavior in various environments and manage yourself so that you avoid being overtaken by emotion and making poor choices. So those are really crucial for having emotional intelligence. Now, last week, I said that I would share the question and answer the question that I had coming in at the very last part of the show. So I am going to answer that question. I believe it came from Country Corners Gazette, but I don't have the exact person, but I think. So the question was, does stress mess with internal organ performance? And the answer is yes, it can. What happens, the stress response is actually something that we've had from the beginning of being human. In fact, actually, all animals have it. And it's fight, flight, or freeze. That's the stress reaction. But what happens, and we need it like when something can be endangering our lives, we need to have that reaction in order to save ourselves, because that's really what it was originally designed to do, is to protect us from harm. So in caveman days, when the tiger or the bear would come up, somebody would react and either flee or fight back. So your stress reaction has been an important part. What happens though is that over time, the stress reaction gets it becomes chronic. And once it becomes chronic, it can affect your body and your internal organs. And there has definitely been research done on the connection between the mind and the body. So definitely stress will affect any of your organs. And what ends up happening is stress will affect the organ that happens to be the weakest. And I'm putting that in quotes because what I mean by that is each one of us are vulnerable to stress in our own ways. And certain people, like for me, I know it's skin. When I get stressed, my skin flares up. I have eczema, so that will flare up. When I've had plenty of clients, when they get stressed, they get stomach issues and they get upset stomach and different kinds of stomach problems start happening. Some people are more susceptible to colds, to flu, to COVID when you're immune, because what happens is stress can affect your immune system. So yes, stress does affect you. So I'm hoping that Country Corners has been able to hear the answer to that question. And so stress, it's really important to learn how to manage your stress. And one of the ways to do that, when you have emotional intelligence, you learn how to manage your stress more easily so that you're not doing destructive or dysfunctional behaviors, because stress can lead to that as well. How many of you, when you're feeling stressed out, you may turn to comfort foods? It's very common. Not saying it's healthy, but it's common. And one of the biggest comfort foods is sugar. The cookies, the cakes, and the carbs. Okay, Country Corners Gazette says, thank you. I'm sure the asker heard. Okay, great. Thank you, Country Corners Gazette. So what's really important is for you to learn that emotional intelligence and learn how to manage that stress. And what I'm going to be talking about today are also ways to manage stress and to help yourself in ways that will support you and your nervous system to calm down and to get and to become more emotionally regulated. Because when you're stressed out, you're not emotionally regulated. So it's actually saying the same thing, but in a different way. So let's talk more about what you can do to have emotional intelligence. So the third way that Aria talked about emotional intelligence is to have empathy. And empathy, and I'm going to define the way that Aria had talked about it, the ability to value and understand the experiences of another. One is empathetic when they can appreciate the perspective of others, even when they differ from one's own. And empathy is a really crucial skill. When I went to social work school, one of the important skills we learned was empathy. And empathy is really important and really powerful because your ability to be able to understand the feelings of another person is what will contribute to having better and healthier relationships in your life. When you are emotionally intelligent, your ability to have healthier relationships, to have an inspired and empowered life, all goes up manyfold. And the more that you can empathize with another person, there's a saying, walk in another person's shoes. Or, and there's also a saying, I think something like, you don't know what it's like until you walk in the other person's moccasins. So, but basically it's the shoes. So having empathy is basically walking in another person's shoes, is being able to understand and feel what they're going through. So you may not be going through the exact same thing that another person is, but we've all, let's talk about grief. We've all had loss. You cannot be human and not have any loss. And your loss may not be the same as somebody else's, but you can empathize from that place of what it felt like for you when you lost a loving grandparent, perhaps a parent, a beloved pet. So when someone you know has experienced loss, you can tap into your ability to remember what it was like and empathize with them. One of the most important things that I really, really want to support you all, not to say that will really turn people off. Oh, get over it. Or aren't you finished feeling that yet? Or, oh, that happened so long ago. Like whether it's loss or whether it's an experience or whether it's trauma, you can never understand another person's experience. You may have the ability to empathize, but you haven't walked in their shoes. And so you may have some frame of reference, but you don't know what they're really feeling or the depth of what they're feeling. And the most important thing that you can do is having that empathy. And Anastasia says, I was told that I am emotionally immature. What is the meaning of this? Okay, so if someone said that you're emotionally immature, I actually want to ask you if you would be willing to share it, Anastasia. What was the context of it? Was it somebody that you were having an argument with? Because were they saying that? I don't exactly know what they meant by that immature, that you're emotionally immature. If and see if this feels true or possible. If you're having trouble empathizing with another person or not being able to have that empathy, or another thing that we talked about was having self-awareness and being able to be aware of your own emotions and what is triggering those emotions. And all of that could be something that that person may have said. And here's the thing, it could be out of context. Okay, Anastasia, what did you say? They said they said I don't understand their feelings. Okay, so a couple of things, and I'm going to ask you, and if you want to share, if it feels okay, so that I can help you and support you in that. A few things. One is, were you not understanding their feelings because you were really angry and upset at them? Because when someone is angry and upset, it will shut you down and you don't even want to understand somebody's feelings. Or two, maybe you really weren't understanding where they were coming from, what was going on. Perhaps you felt confused or not really relating to what they were saying. Now, three, it could be maybe they weren't communicating clearly their feelings. Four, they could be have dumped on you. Like if they were dumping feelings on you, like blaming, shaming, making you wrong, that's not okay. Now, if you weren't understanding their feelings because, and let me know if any of this resonates with you, if it feels okay. I only want you to share if it feels okay. So, if you weren't understanding them, you may not have been able to relate to what they were going through. Maybe you couldn't find a life experience like empathy to empathize with them. Maybe you're just learning about empathy, like on the show today. So all of this is possible. And here's the thing, what I want to encourage you, Anastasia, and all of you, okay, is we're in a journey. It's not a destination. And it's learning to be able to learn more about your feelings. So Anastasia came back with an answer. They said they would handle a situation differently than I did. They think they know better than I do. Just because they would have done something differently doesn't mean my way is wrong. I did what works for me. And you know what, Anastasia? You are totally right. You did what works for you. The only caveat, the only way that, and it's really important that you did what works for you. And maybe they didn't understand you. And if they think they know better than you, that's not true. Because if it's your life and a situation you're dealing with, then Anastasia said, because I stood up for myself, they said I was emotionally immature. Okay, so Anastasia, the fact that you stood up for yourself is actually, and hopefully you did it in an assertive way. Even learning how to stand up for yourself in the beginning when there may be some aggression, but learning to stand up for yourself is actually emotional intelligence. That's essential self-care. So I don't know the specifics, but I will tell you that you standing up for yourself and doing what you need to do to take care of you in a specific situation sounds like you did what you needed to do. Now, I don't know where that other person was coming from about being emotionally immature, and that may have been their hang up, and perhaps they would have done it differently, or maybe they wouldn't have even stood up for themselves. And standing up for yourself and being assertive is actually a really healthy way of being emotionally intelligent. It's where, remember I said that you want to be able to regulate yourself and to be emotionally intelligent. You're not acting out or doing destructive behaviors, and that would be hurting yourself, someone else, or the environment. But when you are being assertive and you're standing up for yourself, that is actually healthy emotional intelligence. When you're assertive and you're doing what you need to do. So I don't know the whole situation, but from what you're telling me, it looks like you were being emotionally intelligent. So yay for you, Anastasia. And they may have said that because they didn't agree with you or they differed in how they would. And that is actually part of emotional intelligence. Part of emotional intelligence, I read it before, is being able to appreciate the perspective of others, even when they differ from your own. So that person differed from what you did, and it sounds like they were putting you down. And really, they had a different perspective. So thank you for sharing that example, Anastasia. That's actually a great example. Thank you. And so really empathy is all about being able to experience and understand another person's emotions based on your own experience. Now, the ultimate empathy is being able, like if you've had a similar experience to someone that you can relate to from your own perspective. Now, you can never totally understand. You can never totally understand someone because each one of us is different and unique. And I'll get to that in a sec. And each one of us is different and unique. And so it's really knowing that, and it's really important to be able to empathize, but not, and this is really important, not take on another person's energy. Because some of you who are so empathetic, you may find yourself taking on someone else's stuff, emotions, and that is not what you want to be doing. You can be empathetic with somebody, but we don't want you taking on another person's emotions or carrying them. So I just want to make that clear. And if you need more understanding of that, I can talk more about that. Put a question in the chat. Misty says, seems the other person is lashing out at her because they don't know how to speak up for their own selves. So Misty, it sounds like that could be it. It totally sounds like that could be what's happening. But again, okay, we don't know the inside of everything that happened. And so, yes, it's very possible because they don't stand up for themselves, or they don't do it the same way, that they were definitely putting her down, which is not okay. Not okay. So just to let you know, that's not what you want to be doing. So Country Corners Gazette. Why do people act like they always know best, even when they have never walked in your shoes? Because depending on the person, people can be very opinionated. And people who are think they always know what's right, or they could be very righteous. They have their certain perspective, and they can't see another person's perspective. That is not emotional intelligence. Okay. So what you're actually saying, the example of not being able to understand another person's perspective is a good example of not emotional intelligence. And when someone thinks that they're right over what you feel or what you feel you need to do, that's not emotional intelligence. That's actually trying to control or manipulate. It could be controlling or manipulating behavior. If somebody thinks that they're right and you're talking about your feelings, they're not hearing you. That's not emotional intelligence. So these are all examples of what emotional intelligence is not. Emotional intelligence is being able, even when you disagree with something that someone is doing, or the way they're doing it, or how they're doing it, but you hear their feelings, and perhaps you can support them. And you only advise them when they've asked for your advice. Giving advice unsolicited, giving advice without being asked, is not okay. And you could ask, would you like to hear my perspective? Or would you like to hear what I'm thinking? Then, and if they say yes, then you have a go ahead. But if you don't, then it's about, and if you don't agree with how they're doing it or what they're doing, then you may, I would say, to be cautious, to be careful, and really be able to think before you speak. That's learning emotional intelligence. That's actually emotional regulation. How many of you have ever had put your foot in your mouth? That's not emotional intelligence. That's being impulsive and saying things or doing things that you later regret, not regret. Well, you've regressed and then you regret. So that's not emotional intelligence. So learning to breathe, hold your tongue, and again, if you're concerned about someone, then it would be, can I share what I'm feeling or my concerns? Then you're able to share. Okay. Misty asks, how do we get people to understand the difference between opinions and feelings? Okay. So if someone is, let's see, if someone is giving you an opinion and they're not acknowledging or empathizing with your feeling, and sometimes you may need to teach people how to treat you. So what I mean by that is, What if you were to say to someone, I hear you, I hear what you're saying, I hear your opinion, and what I'm asking for. Right now, and I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling I'm not feeling heard right now. What I need right now is I really need your support. And the way that looks is to just listen, to listen to what I'm feeling. Right now, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling upset that that person, blah, 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 or annoyed. I'm feeling sad or scared. Those are all feelings. And if someone's giving you an opinion, standing up for yourself would be, I hear you really want to support me, and I didn't ask for your, like, it's, you have to be really careful, because if someone is very an opinion motivated person, you want to stand up for yourself. And it's also really important. Now, you could say, I hear your opinion, and this is what I need. I think that that's probably the best way to go about it. And what I need from you is I need your support to listen to me. I didn't ask for advice. I just need your support right now. And the way that I need your support is for you to listen to what I'm feeling. And what I'm feeling is. So hopefully that is helpful to help you to express yourself when someone's giving an opinion, and supporting them to hear you. Now, again, it depends on who they are. Okay, so is it okay to just let people do their own thing, even when we think it is the wrong thing to do? All right, so I am going to answer that question. I'll repeat it and answer that question right after I share with you the meditation, including a PDF of inspiredandempoweredliving.com/meditation. So you go to the name of the show, Inspired and empoweredliving.com/meditation, meditation, meditation, and download the meditation. And there's also a PDF that you, if you are not into meditations, but you'd rather read it and get and understand how to do it, you can download the PDF. So I really want to support you in getting that. Inspired and empoweredliving.com/meditation. And Rebels put it in the chat. So definitely you want to download that. All right. So let's get back to the question that we had. And the question is it okay to just let people do their own thing, even if we think it's the wrong thing to do? So, yes, it's really important. If someone's going to do something and you think it's the wrong thing, there's really not much you can do. You can ask them if they're willing to hear your concerns or what you're thinking about it. And then there's not much. Now, if it's something like an addictive behavior, there's really only so much you can do. There's not that much you can do because they may be run by that addiction. If there's a behavior that you're really concerned about, again, if like obviously if they're going to hurt themselves or someone else, or destroy property, then you need to maybe call the authorities, or call the authorities or call 911. I mean, those kinds of situations need action. Other than that, if someone is going to do something that you think is wrong, like they may say something to someone else and you know that that's not going to be helpful, you can ask. Again, this is about asking and asking people if they're willing to hear you. Because I want you to think about it. When you don't ask for advice, and this is going back to that opinion and feelings question that Misty asked, when you don't offer, like when you have something going on and you haven't asked for their advice, but they offer it, they say their opinion, how do you feel? Does it make you angry or annoyed or nervous? What happens for you? And so when you're doing that to someone else, it's learning to be able to respect other people's lives, their decisions, and ask if they're willing to hear you. Ask if they're willing to be able to let you express your concerns. So hopefully that was helpful. And so it's really important to be able to know that you have the power in your own life to make the changes that really inspire you to do better, to be better, and to be able to have that emotional intelligence so that you're not walking on somebody else's emotions. I mean, that's really what this is about. And when people are walking on yours, that's when you need to stand up for yourself. And if somebody lashes out, like what happened, that's not okay either. Now, there's some people who can be very undermining and difficult. And it's learning to be assertive and stand up for yourself, no matter what. And to be able to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. And having empathy. Again, remember, you don't want to take on other people's feelings. And you really want other people to have empathy with you. That one of the things that I've seen across the board in my work with clients is how much people want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be acknowledged. And we all have those basic needs. And so I'm really going to support all of you in learning to be able to give that to others and asking for that in healthy ways. Now, healthy communication, and I'm going to go over that healthy communication again because of, in light of what we were talking about earlier in the show. If someone's triggering you, like if they're dumping their opinions on you and you really don't want it, you could say, stop, please stop. I'm really, really feeling like I need not hear that right now. I have what I'm feeling is, or and if when the and again, you don't want to you people. It's important not to you people or shame them or blame them or dump on them. And that's really important. You don't want to do that. When this happened, I felt focus on behavior. And you could also say, you can also refer them back to the show. When when I felt this when this happened. And really support them in finding healthier behavior. Okay, so holy spit, Nancy. Sandy is saying, I found you live from a tent trailer in a field evacuated from home due to wildfires. Love it. Whoa, cool. I love hearing that. So, hey, Sandy, it's good to see you. I hope that this is my friend Sandy, and Sandy had to evacuate because of the wildfires in Canada. So actually, let's send some healing prayers to Sandy and her loved ones and her town and all of those in Canada facing those wildfires. So we're sending you love, light, healing, and prayers. And I am excited to hear that you heard me live in a tent. So I really am sending you all and supporting you all. Sandy says, hi, beautiful friends. Thank you. Yay. So I just really want to wish you, Sandy, and all of you, we're sending you prayers, sending you lots of prayers and healing. And I also want to support all of you who are listening live or who will listen later, that it's learning. Remember, I really want you to remember that this is a journey. It's not a destination. We're on the journey of emotional health, emotional intelligence. And most of us did not learn it in our families. Okay. Most people have not learned it, or they're in the middle of learning it, like you, like me. I'm still learning. Hey, I am still learning emotional intelligence. We're all in the journey. And the most important thing is that you're in the journey and that you're in process. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. We're going to do part 3 because there's a couple more pieces that I want to share about emotional intelligence. So we'll do part 3 next week. And I really want to thank you all for being here and joining me, whether you're listening live and those who posted in the chat. Thank you. Really appreciate you. I want you to know how much I appreciate you. And thank you for listening live or on the podcast. And we are live Tuesday mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern on Talk 4 TV, W4WN, my YouTube channel. And you can find us on the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, and Amazon. And Sandy says, EQ, love, VSIQ. Love it. I just wrote an article from magazine about EQ. Emotional intelligence. That's what it's all about. So I am wishing you all an inspired and empowered day and an inspired and empowered week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.